New polling just out is giving us a look at the state of the race for the White House. It's a changed, tightening race with more than a few pathways to victory for Vice President Kamala Harris. As the Harris-Walz campaign begins a battleground blitz today, some parts of the U.S. that were strongholds for Trump could now be in play. Joining us now, Larry Sabato, director for the Center for Politics at the University of Virginia. Larry, we'll get to the map in a moment because I do think the ways it's changing are fascinating. But let's start with this new ABC News Ipsos poll that shows Kamala Harris with a slight bump in the overall race, but a major lead among women, 54% over 41%. It's not shocking because we know that Democrats tend to win women overall. But when you put that on a map, what areas are you looking at for the most impact of where women will be voting and for who?
Well, obviously, you look at the 7 swing states, and people always ask me, well, when am I going to get 8 or 9 swing states? Damned if I know, but I don't think it's coming this year. Look, as suburban women, obviously, and particularly white suburban women. Why white suburban women? Because they are inclined in some ways to go Republican. And this is an issue of reproductive rights that can clearly tie them to Kamala Harris, even more than the fact that she is a woman. You know, Trump has made the most elementary and fundamental error about the abortion issue because it's been with us since at least 1973. And during all that time, it's been said by people in politics, some candidates are pro-choice, some candidates are anti-choice, but the candidates who are in real trouble are multiple choice. And he is now multiple choice. He's got to be worried about some of his base. Most of them will stick with him, but he's losing at least a bit of them. And he hasn't clarified at all where he really stands, which guarantees that he will have a lot of additional questioning, say in the debate next week. That's my guess.
That's going to be one of the key points, I think, especially given the role that abortion has played as a key electoral issue. And this will be the first presidential in the post-Dobbs environment. But I'm so glad that you brought up white women, because I have been driven since I wrote my book about this idea of the gender gap is typically driven by men becoming more conservative. White women over the course of 2016 and 2020 did pretty much what they've done historically, which is trend Republican. But in this new poll, we're now seeing a major shift, Trump going from 13 points ahead pre-DNC with white women to now within the margin of error. Is this a canary in a coal mine data point, or is this something that we should just dismiss and wait to see what else happens?
No, I wouldn't dismiss it. I think it is moving in that direction, and it is very significant for Democratic victories and Republican defeats. But look, it's a toxic combination for Trump that he can't realize because he refuses to acknowledge that his personality, the way he comes across to people, offends people who would vote for him otherwise. That's especially true with women. So you add in the overturning of Roe v. Wade and the genuine anger that is still out there and is probably not being fully picked up by polling. Polling often undercounts energy, enthusiasm, intensity of emotion. So I think people need to realize this is always a combination, and you can always depend on Donald Trump to say something obnoxious about once every, 6 or 7 hours. That's my estimate.
It's a high estimate, but there might be some historical precedent for that. You know, Stu Stevens and I were just talking about the Trump ceiling. Is it 46%? Is it 47%? As you're looking at these polls and you're looking at the way they're conducting this campaign, is he doing anything to add to that number?
No, he's a one-trick pony. He knows what he needs to do to get that 46 or 47%. I was listening to what Stu said. I think that is true. Here's the one deviation I would have from it, which is turnout. If you can activate your voters, even if they're a fixed number of people, to the extent that their turnout turns out to be 2 or 3 points higher than the other side, you can win. You can end up getting 50% when in another election with a less energized base, you would get 46. So this is not an election you write off until it's over. And neither side should take any advantage or be overly optimistic about it, which is why the Harris people are being smart and saying they're the underdog. They're not the underdog. Trump isn't the underdog either. There is no overdog. There is no underdog. There is just a close race with a lot of known unknowns and unknown unknowns.
If no one's an underdog and no one's an overdog, are they just all dogs? We're just all dogs in the fight right now, Larry Sabato. Thank you for joining us.
They're fighting. That's all I want to say. They're fighting.
Thank you, my friend.